Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. The next thing is comments from staff and community. And then we'll move on next to recognition with Dr. Paso.
Sure. Thank you, President Holland, members of the board, staff members, and public audience. It gives me great pleasure tonight to recognize several groups of people in the month of May. As you know, we recognize and demonstrate our appreciation for our very talented staff throughout the school year. And the month of May has been a very busy month recognizing special groups of people. And I'd like to name them today. Food Service Hero Day on May 7th, National School Nurse Day on May 6th, Speech and Language Pathologist group. Our appreciation goes to them as well. And May 3rd through the 7th is Teacher Appreciation Week. And a fact that some of you may not know, but we have 137 teachers in our district. So many thanks for the great work from all groups that make up the Orting School District. We couldn't be successful without each group doing a great job. And truly, this year has been a year of challenges. That is an understatement. And everyone has done a great job considering the pandemic that's been surrounding us. And we've fought it off, and we've moved in the month of March, April, and May back to a modified schedule of in-person instruction. So I'm very pleased and are hopeful that we can finish out our school year to the mid-June period. So excited about finishing out the school year, as well as our upcoming senior graduations will be taking place in June. And we'll hear more about that from Cliff later this evening. So thank you to all of our groups that make up the Orting School District.
Okay, we'll move right on to reports. The next one is Cliff Freeze on 2021 graduation. Exciting. Cliff, are you on?
I'm thinking, I'm wondering.
We'll come back to Cliff. I don't think he's on yet. So we'll just come back. So as soon as somebody let him know we're waiting. Next thing will be, is Marcy Bannon on?
I am here.
All right, Marcy, we'll do the financial report right now, waiting on Cliff. You can go ahead and prepare it by, excuse me.
Yep, it is a prepared by. So anyone have any questions for me regarding the March 2021 financial report?
I have a question. It's probably not, is the board budget overall. Do we look like the state's going to hold back any money? Are we going to be on track to getting money back from the state? I know it just ended.
So in the legislative session this year, they had a couple hold harmlesses that we are going to get funds for. One of them is the transportation hold harmless. It's going to be an interesting formula of last year's total revenue and this year's total revenue divided by 2, and we get the difference. So they take this year's revenue subtract from last year's revenue, divided in half, and we get extra. So we're going to get a couple $100,000 from that, which is great because we were down about $500,000 in that spot. And then the newest one that's come out is our enrollment. And they're going to give us some additional, a lot of additional funds for enrollment. We are still down in our overall enrollment that we budgeted for revenue for this year, but we are getting a significant amount back. So it's very good news. We're still not whole, but they did definitely help us out.
So any extra money out there, you will be going after, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, for sure.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you for financial report. It looks great. I showed it to my person. So that's what the financial report should look like when I want to see.
Thank you, Stanley.
Is there any questions for Marcy? Well, hearing none, is Cliff Freeze on yet?
He will be joining momentarily.
Okay. We can move to end of year progress report. That is.
Yeah, on behalf of the cabinet, yes, President Holland, on behalf of the cabinet, we have collaborated to prepare for the board the ACT initiative as it relates to the various department activities that have been accomplished throughout this school year. And as you are aware, we provided the board a mid-year report in January, and now we have completed and summarized some of the major events that have taken place by department. And I hope that you've had an opportunity to review each of those department activities and accomplishments. We have done so under some very difficult challenges. Without a doubt, I'm very proud of the work of the cabinet members and the various departments throughout the school district. And we stand ready to answer and respond to any of the items within the report for the board this evening. We are especially indebted to the individuals within our cabinet that have made this ACT initiative come to life. It has guided our work. It has caused us to stop and reflect prior to making final decisions and recommendations. And we believe that this has really served as a template for our work this school year. And I hope that maybe some elements, if not all of it, continues in the future, because I think it's worthy of consideration in its application of the tremendously important work that will be taking place in the future in this school district with regard to the improvement of the student and staff instructional performance and academic performance, as well as managing what the future lies with the modernization of existing facilities and the fact that we are growing very quickly with new students and with the new developments on the north and the south end of the district. We know that we have to prepare for large enrollment growth in the future. So we will be talking a little bit later here about how we're responding with that with the Citizens Facility Advisory Committee, which is modeled under the ACT initiative as well. Any questions from the board? Any comments?
I want to, first of all, I really like this template because I like the adjustment section, the outcome in the adjustment, because it shows that we have been responsive to issues, and that's really, really important to me, and I think it's really important. It's really important for our success. And the other thing is, there were so many opportunities where you could see how our communication has increased both within the district and outside of the district. It was real helpful to get numbers for like visits to the different websites so that we could see that those things are being utilized. A big shout out to the teachers for both the comments about dealing with path blazers, making it doable, and middle school and high school teachers making the lessons more responsive to their needs. The document really, really showed that the teachers have really worked with that. And the other one was that I love the transparency of being responsible for all of the different things that we deal with, whether it's the PPE or the money that came through, and talking about the different spreadsheets and things like that, so that it was real obvious that we're being real responsible with in the way we've dealt with this year. And so I hope that the public realizes that they can look at this document and see just how much we have done this year. So it was a joy to read.
Thank you.
I just want to say yes, because it seemed like we came a long way, and we had a lot of things that was harping us with the COVID-19 and on school, off school. But I think that with the communication, that was the key part, the communication that the parents and the teachers and the community helped get through this rough time. I just want to say, Cabinet, thank you for the hard work. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And I'm kind of just going to echo that a little bit too. And I just want to acknowledge that as busy as everybody has been this year, and even prior to the start of this school year, to take the time to do this, I just want to acknowledge that I understand it's time consuming to go back and look and see what you've done and put it into a format that we can look at, understand, comprehend, digest, and see all the great work that's been done. So great work again. And I just wanted to acknowledge the time that it takes to do something like this and just let you all know it's very appreciated.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Melissa.
Yeah, and just along those same lines, a row in a table masks the level of effort and time and energy and just creative power of the cabinet and the district as a whole. And so I just, again, am grateful for the work. I felt we were focused on the right activities in service to our students and our community and our teachers. And I want you to know that we saw you, we see you, and the effort that went into all of this. It's amazing to read through that list and see that this is the update since January. You know, when we went through the information in January, it's monumental. You know, it's one row on a table, but it's a monumental amount of work. And so, like I said, we see you, and I'm grateful for the work you did.
Thank you, Carrie. You know, when you look back at the year, we wrestled with a lot of tough issues, a lot of challenges. We weren't always in agreement with what direction to move, especially when we had confusing messages coming from the CDC, from OSPI, from our local health department, just in the area of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. But nevertheless, I'm just very proud to have been a part of this team, because everybody worked really hard, and everyone was patient. We listened to one another. We considered everyone's opinions, and you know, I'm just very pleased. It turned out doing the kind of work that's really absolutely necessary in an organization such as the Ording School District. I
just want to say, Tony, Lynn, take a bow, because you've done a hell of a job.
We're surrounded by a great team.
And I also love the way this document shows that all the people are working. It's not any just one person. It's, you know, it gives honor to the team, and that's very respectful and a great way to operate. So thank you.
Yes, because that wheel was just turning right. You know, no spoke was out of whack. We didn't wobble a little bit, but we came back, and we came back rolling straight. And we went to trials and tribulations, but we're rolling straight now. Let us keep going that way. Well, I want to say thank you guys.
You make me nervous when you talk about when we wobble.
Any other questions for Tony and Lynn? If not, is Cliff on yet?
Yes.
Okay, Cliff, we're excited to hear about graduation.
Yes, some of this will be new for the community, so you guys will be first to hear it more publicly. Of course, Tony and Cabinet have heard it. So rolling back to drive-through graduation, we know that was a real success last year. We got a lot of positive feedback around it. We really want to do a drive-through graduation again, just because of how high quality we saw that it was going around. Now, what we know is that's a whole different population of parents and kids, and we have a new population of parents and kids. And what we did is we surveyed both students and their families to find out their priorities of what they wanted. Well, it turns out, and I understand it more fully now, after a year and a half, the seniors want a normal graduation. They want to be there and they want to see their friends graduate. And even though we're back, they still haven't been together as a senior class yet. And it will be the day of graduation will be the first time that they're together as a class since they were prior to closure their junior year. So it was definitely a priority for families and for students that they wanted a more formal ceremony where they were all present. So that created a logistical issue that we think we've tackled and we're going to be able to pull off. What we'd like to do is we'd like to have a stage on the end zone closest to the town of Boarding there. In our stadium, we'll have a covered stage, of course, where the board will be, our board representatives and superintendent and other distinguished guests will be on stage with us. And then we're going to have all seniors present 6 feet apart on either side of the stage and in front of the stage, because it's going to take a lot of room to get all 190 of them out there. And then we're going to have pods for the families. So each senior, it was announced, each senior would get 4. If we do 4 per family, that will put us all the way back just beyond the 50-yard line. So all high quality seating. Feedback we've gotten from the community is that it's really hard to cut down to 4. So we have made the decision to increase it to 6. So we're going to set out 1,600 chairs on the football field in pods of 6 of pre-registered guests. They'll be socially distanced 6 feet apart. They'll go pretty much from fence to fence and then all the way back probably about 60 or 70 yards. We'll also have chairs all the way in the back that are single chairs that are 6 feet apart, because we know from feedback from the community and probably from our own personal experience that not all of our family members get along, so they might not be able to sit all 4 together. So there'll be an opportunity to kind of separate for the good of the family and good of the ceremony. But that's new information the community doesn't know yet that I'm announcing here tonight for the first time, that there'll be 6 per family. And in the SPSL, all the high schools I talked to them, most schools have 4, some have 6. But that's pretty much standard. We're in line with all of our peers around us. So we should be able to have a full and complete ceremony where all seniors get to walk across the stage. We're trying to have band and choir present right now. They'll be in the 2 different bleachers on the right and the left. Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department worked with Chris Willis. They approved our plan as we have it. So we should be COVID safe. Everyone should be masked up. Parking will be crazy like all big events in Ording. So yeah, any questions for me on graduation?
So
Cliff, you're a
mass
very
will be,
smart man, moving from 4 tickets to 6.
and did you say mass will be required?
Yeah, masks are required at this time for the graduation guidance we have for schools, so they will be required. So I'm probably going to do a message to families, asking them even if they, it's kind of weird, it's kind of confusing with some of the outdoor guidance we've had. None of that applies to schools, so it is going to confuse families, to be fair. So I'll probably put out some guidance that says, hey, if you do us a favor to make this a good event, mask up. So yeah, we're going to ask that everyone wears masks.
Yeah, because I was confused. Are we outside now? Is they on? They off? What are they doing?
Yeah, Chris Willis did a good job working with the health department, kind of looking for those loopholes. So are we in that loophole or are we not? And they said, no, all the guidance says we have to wear masks. I also tried to get to 3 feet. That didn't go so well, but Chris made a valiant attempt for me.
Cliff hasn't said anything about the fact that the mountain will be out. It'll be the backdrop and behind the stage. And he also has the weather report already mapped out.
Yeah, I got on good authority from our district maintenance supervisor, Curtis Nybo, says it's supposed to be 70 and clear that day, so I don't have to worry anymore. So that's good.
I hope so.
I don't. Farmer's Almanac, I don't know where he got that. There's some old school way. I don't know if what he did, but he says it's going to be clear. So we're hoping so. But you guys will be under a tent, the board members. You're going to be under a tent, so you won't be the wet cats if it does happen.
Rain or shine, just tell us where to be, and such an exciting day. I can't wait.
Yeah, and this is all thanks. I want to publicly recognize Renee Pauly, who puts on this event. This is a wedding times 4, and I've asked her to put on an event, and I'm not going to give her the details till 4 weeks before. So she's got 1,600 chairs. We have to figure out, they don't have anyone to set it up, so we have to use PE kids to set the chairs up. And on Saturday, I think I'm going to have to look for volunteers to pick up multiple semi-loads of chairs. So I haven't really figured out that logistic. If any of you are free Saturday morning, just let me know. All right.
Well,
any other graduation questions?
Thank you for being responsive to the community and the kids, and I know it's tough to juggle that with the requirements, but thank you for working so hard at that.
Yeah, you bet.
And I would say the thing about the masks, I'd say do that frequently, often, and because somebody's gonna say something.
They will, but what we've seen with the sports guidance is even if they disagree with it, they tend to play. If it's in pursuit of kids and not adults, they tend to play with us pretty well. If it's for their kids.
Well, thank you for the hard work you put into it. And you bringing back some kind of normalcy to the kids that's graduating. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Any other questions for Cliff?
No questions, just another comment, just another thank you to you and Renee for logistics, and then pivot, and then more logistics, and then another pivot, and then a turnaround, and then an all in, and then all of that stuff. So, and I'm sure that there will be some other tweaks as you go to get there. But thank you. I imagine that the community is going to be very excited.
Yes.
One last thing I got to add: the community organization, PTTE, and Project Grad usually get together and host the parade afterwards. That's what they did last year. So they'd like to keep that tradition going. So that will be happening again this year. And Officer Boone's going to work out with the city the parade route.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Great.
Oh,
Good.
wow.
Good.
That was fun.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank
You
you.
betcha. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? We're going to move on to Lynn, the Employee Encourage Survey. The survey, Lynn?
Thank you, Stanley. As hard as we worked and as proud as we are of what we accomplished, we know we can always do better. And that's part of the purpose of the employee engagement survey, is to find out how we can improve. So this year's survey was delayed because of COVID, and not all of our staff had returned. We've actually seen a declining participation in the last 3 years. So now that we're back almost full, not quite, but almost full force with our staff, we'll be administering the survey the first week of June. And this year it will focus on ACT, accountability, collaboration, and transparency, and how we can improve that. And once we gather that data, we'll be sharing it with the board so that you have an opportunity to get that information. And we have an opportunity then to make goals and look at ways that we can improve. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment because you mentioned about the declining numbers taking it. And I want to say this because Karn's there, and I hope Cliff is still there. Please let staff know that the board really wants to hear from you. We really pay attention to it. It's one of the things that we used a lot last year. So please, it is really important to us. And I just wanted to make sure that I reiterated that and share that.
Thank you. Definitely. We will make sure that folks understand that their participation is really important. It'll help us improve.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we're going to move right along to long range plan update. Lynn, you're on again.
Thank you so much, Stanley. Yes, I appreciate that you took the time to look at the long range human resources plan and also ask some questions. We have a plan just like ACT, but specific to our department to improve. And it has initially focused on recruiting, hiring, and retention of employees. And our question is, do we have the right employees in the right place? This was not a typical year, nor did we do much hiring. And retention looked much different, and having people in the right place when we had folks who had to take leave because of COVID or childcare. How did we replace them with a substitute shortage? So I want to shout out to our teachers and to our principals and our support staff who really worked so hard to make sure our kids got what they need. Our idea behind our long-term HR plan is to improve our service. And I think that our efforts are going to look a little more normal next year. We're looking forward to that. But again, the focus will be on how do we recruit the best? How do we retain them? And how do we respond to ensure that what they're doing for our students is what needs to be done? So we'll have another report for you. And then as we continue ACT, we can talk about our accomplishments in the future. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you so much.
Next will be long form with Chris Willis.
Yes. I want to thank you. One of the things that I remember from the last time I had this conversation with you regarding our safety and security plan our emergency response plan and our continuation of operations plan is that Carrie Thibodeau mentioned to me that, you know what, by the way, we really need to focus our attention on this. And I remember that specifically, Carrie. And one of the things I've done so far is I've really learned from not only the comments that you made on the last, which were positive, thank you, regarding the plan, but actually I put those into practice. And those are the things, you always remember the things that come to you regarding the constructive feedback. But what I want to do, share with you some exciting things that we've done to improve our safety. Number one, we didn't just spend our time focused on COVID this year. I do want to tell you that we did not only focus on that. And so the first thing that we focused on was our building key-in access for 2 of our buildings. And because we did that, and because we involved the right people, and because we involved our facilities department, our technology department, our safety department that included Randy Gallatin and Jeff Boone, we were able to get 2 sites, a PTR and OPS, set up with our key-in system. Which is a big deal. The second thing we did was we also focused on the camera systems, updating the security camera systems. We have security camera systems in all of our buildings, and we're continuing to update those, and we'll be finished this summer with our security and camera systems. And by the way, we're no longer using Costco for that particular, that's a little joke. Yeah, see Marcy laughing. And so anyway, so we actually have all of those intact for our buildings. One of the things that we'll be focusing on, obviously, is our central office as well at some point. The other thing that we'll have done, and we have 3 bids now, we'll have all of our radio systems updated by August. We'll have 7 base stations put in. All of our buildings will all up-to-date digital base stations in all of our buildings, plus 100 radios that will be all inventoried. So that'll be done by August. Actually, we'll have everything set to go by next week. And then we also had a seismic study done in the meantime.
Chris,
yes,
Chris,
I'm sorry.
I apologize for the interruption, but I'm just curious, and forgive me if it was in the plan and I missed it.
Yeah.
Will the radios talk school to school, or central to each building?
Oh, good question. So one of the things that I learned about was a thing called repeaters. And so because I did, you know what, I'm catching up. And so one of the things that we don't have right now are repeaters. And so we want to make sure, because right now the middle school can't talk to the high school. With these repeaters, we'll all be able to talk between our buildings and with local law enforcement and with fire and rescue.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's the difference. That's the difference than before. Before, our radios, number one, we had half of our radios that were analog and half of our radios were digital. Everything will be digitized and be assigned to individuals within the system. Right now, radios, I'm not saying they disappear, but they get lost. And so everyone will be assigned individuals within the system. During the time that we also had a seismic study done at OPS. We didn't qualify for the next round, believe it or not. You'd think a building that old would qualify, but OSPI is seeking additional funding in the 21-23, and the district was selected for the study, but was not selected for the upgrades. So Curtis Nybo was involved in that particular piece. And then finally, in regards to transportation routing, we're upgrading our transportation routing system, which will be completed this summer in order to improve the safety of our stops, and also be able to give us really quick access to where buses are at any one time. And that'll help with the safety pieces. So in regards to the safety process, those are the things that are going on right now. Finally, in regards to social emotional, we'll be focused on obviously our mental health supports for our students who will be returning. We'll continue with those MOUs, but also we've invested in a training for our staff called Mental Health First Aid. For those of you who don't know that, it really focuses on what the symptoms of mental illness are, so that staff are able to pinpoint that and then be able to help support them and then provide referral to our counselors for additional referrals outside. The other thing is I just finished a grant. For those of you who've been around a while, OSTOP was a program that was in Ording. I'm resurrecting that. Yeah, it's actually a big deal. And it's a big deal because we'll be working with the ESD, the local health department, and the school district to create a consortium of local agencies to help with substance use prevention within our community and within our schools. And it also includes a substance use counselor within our middle school and our high school. And so I have a really good feeling about it. I got 9, including Dr. Chin from the health department. I got 8 letters of support from a variety of different agencies in the city of Ording and outside the city of Ording. And then also from the Puget Sound ESD, that they're very supportive of Ording's application for that particular support for our students. So,
Chris, I'm not familiar with that program, but I would like to know more. Can we add you to a future meeting where you could talk more about that?
absolutely. Matter of fact, when you write something like an application for it, you learn a tremendous amount of stuff that you didn't know about before. And so, but I'm very excited about something that Ording had before, and Kathy probably remembers it. And Stanley, you remember it. But one of the nice things about it is it enlists the community. It's not just a school-based intervention. I'll call it an intervention for any better word. Intervention. It's a community intervention around awareness and how we're going to impact substance abuse within our community as a whole.
Great. Bonnie, can you help find a little window in our calendar, please? If it's okay, Stanley, if we could look at that.
Right. Yes. Yes. That's good to bring back. You stepping back into time now.
Yeah. 2014. So. Yep, I believe that's a long time ago, 2014. Anyway, so we have this plan for the next few years, and then the emergency response book. I sent it off to you, many pages. But the biggest thing we have to do now is really around cyber attack. Is a really big part of the next round of revisions for that particular plan. I did update it with the pandemic plan because it was not within the plan originally. And then other technology, Matt Humvin will be working on that plan for the next round and the next review of the plan next year. So that's all I have right now. Any other questions?
That's a lot.
What else you got going on? Jeez, Chris.
Yeah. Now we can communicate with Sound 911 because they switch all the police departments and fire departments to digital.
Oh, well, just to finalize things, Holly, and by the way, a shout out goes to Holly. Holly has really been very kind and I'll call patient with me regarding the whole Lahar. We did do a tabletop Lahar drill yesterday with City of Puyallup, the Puyallup Public Schools, Sumner Public Schools. And we had Carbonado there. We had Graham, the City of Graham, City of Ording. There were about 56 members of this tabletop yesterday. It's something that I'd like to do with our own school district because it was actually very good use of our time. And then next year, the plan, I remember we talked a little bit more about this at the last board meeting, but we will be doing a multi-area Lahar drill with local city and school district and county groups next year. But this same group did a tabletop yesterday, and it was very, very well organized. I was very impressed with how organized it was. I'm also really impressed about how organized we are here in Ording compared to other jurisdictions. And that's what else I was really impressed with because I was like, whoa, I thought we had some things to work on. No, we are actually ahead of the game. The only thing we don't have going on for us is what do we do at the reunification site? What do you do afterwards? We can hang out in that quarry for how long until we have to do so. So we have some things to do in regards to food once we have get everybody up there and evacuated. We have other things regarding getting the kids to their parents and things after that. We have some things to work on after we've evacuated the site. But prior to that, we kind of got it going here because obviously it's been going on for 25 years or whatever prior. So compared to other places that don't have the things we have. The other thing that, just so you know, our new air raid siren we have going on, that we don't quite know the capabilities of that yet. Because it has many capabilities other than the sound each month, such as being able to state things and be able to give directions to our community. Not only that in English, but in multi-languages. We don't quite have the capability yet to use everything that's being offered in that system yet. So we have some work to do on that as well.
Well, that system that came a long way because it used to be the police officer and the fire department used to go by and turn the key on the way out. We got the grant money for the federal government. That's how it works.
It's come a long way then.
Yeah, it's on the way out. You were doing that. So.
It still sounds like Hunger Games, I just gotta say.
Yeah.
And I would love for it to say, just follow the kids. Like, the kids know how to evacuate. Follow the kids.
Yeah.
You can make announcements too.
It does. Yeah, and we want to make sure it does it in multi languages though, because the number of families who speak multiple languages in our community has increased substantially, and so I think that we have to be able to do that multi language, and we have to figure out that capability because it does have it. It does have it.
It sure does.
Yep.
I had a quick question, Chris, about the new radios. Will people get some training or anything so that it's not like, here you go, and if it's substantially different?
Yeah, if there's anything substantially different, the company will be offering the training. I don't think it's substantially different.
Okay.
We do have to learn how to use the base stations because those are the ones we have now are analog. And so we have to be able to learn how to set those up because they do have to be set up. They do have to be integrated within our school system. And so the technology will be involved at that level. But I'm not a drop, basically, you drop and go. That's not the purpose. And we will make sure that anybody who does not know how to use them, that they will know, because they will be assigned a radio and then they'll be expected to return it at the end of the year. I keep bringing that up because we're running into some trouble.
Well, actually, that raised the question. Was I know some of the rooms at OPS they have on regularly because of the hodgepodge of systems there. What happens with substitutes?
It's a good question. Here we go. Yes, we need to make sure in those, especially those portables out here next to this admin building, and then also out in the portables over at PTR. They need to know that they need to know and have access to those because those buildings don't have the speakers in there. So, yep.
And paras that substitute out at the buses because they use them out at the buses.
Yep. So everybody needs to be trained on how to use them correctly and making sure that everybody's on the right channel. Absolutely. So that's a good point, Kathy. I you think that some things are intuitive and then you find out they're really not. And so.
And who is in charge of all the radios?
Well, what we're going to end up doing is Marcy and I are working on that process now. Okay. So there's two. The first thing is that technology, who will not be in charge of the radios, but technology are going to help us with making sure that they're all barcoded and inventoried. Okay. I mean, that's number one. But we have to make sure that we have someone in charge of all the radios in our system. And Marcy, keep laughing. All of a sudden, they're going to end up in my office. But So that's what I'm a little worried about. And so, yes, we need to figure that out because the person in charge of it has retired. And so we need to come up with a different system. For me, it's about getting them inventoried at least at the beginning, and then we'll figure out who's going to be in charge of handing them out.
It sounds like you better hope that your office is big enough to welcome those radios when they get dumped in there.
I know one thing, they'll love them because when the police department switched over, they would love them because now you got contact. Because before, when they had the old radios, there was a certain part they would run, you wouldn't get any signal. Now they're getting signal, so they love when they switch over.
Well, and the other problem is we discovered that during the Lahar drill that everybody's talking on different types of radio. We weren't able to communicate with each other.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Any other questions for Chris? Well, now we'll move right on to the. We're at the second. Thank Chris. We're at the second reading of the board policies. If no question of the second reading, we need a motion to approve the board policies.
I will make a motion to approve the second reading of policy considerations.
Second.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda as prepared. We from item 1 through 7. Any questions? Hearing none, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared.
I'll move to approve the the consent agenda as prepared.
Thank you. Next items on the list are action items 1 through 4. We'll go through them individually. Next one is the calendar.
Do we need to second and then approve the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Yeah. We seconded, didn't we?
No,
All in favor?
We didn't vote on that.
Okay. Who firsted?
I
Carrie.
firsted.
Jerry did.
I
Who
will
seconded?
second. Melissa will
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank
Way
you.
to go, Melissa.
All righty. Now we're going to move on to the calendar. The action item 1.
Hi, everybody. Just to introduce myself, my name's Karen Buckholtz, and I teach PE and health over at the middle school, and I'm also the athletic coordinator over there. But calendars and dates are something I love. So for about 18 years now, I've been working on the calendar for Orting School District. The document you should have in your board docs breaks apart and gives you some data as far as the process that we've used. I know for all of you on here, it's nothing new. It's almost the exact same process as in the past. But what you'll find is maybe some different data as our results. We did have 502 community members take the time to respond to our survey, which was a little bit more than last year, but pretty much on par for what we've seen in the past. And we had about 160 staff members also respond to the survey. The data has a lot of similarities between community and staff, but also some places where we see some differences. And unfortunately, one of the things that happens is when we ask an individual question, we get one response. And then when that question gets pushed up against some other data, that response sometimes changes. So for instance, with the community was in favor of having school start after Labor Day. They wanted to have the extra day off the day before Thanksgiving. We have an unusual circumstance with Christmas break this year where January 1st falls on a Sunday, which means legally we must honor New Year's Day on Monday, January 2nd. So that pushes our Christmas break to be 11 school days, to have the traditional 3 weekends that we have almost always had. And so the community was very much in favor of all of those days, but then we asked to rank their priorities, and getting out early in June was their second highest priority, only to starting after Labor Day. And when you go to add up 180 school days, to fit that in starting after Labor Day and managing to get out what we refer to as early in June, which still isn't early, but more 15, 16, 17 instead of into the 20s. It's impossible. you cannot create calendars that start after Labor Day and get out that second week of June in most years, especially not if we were going to honor the day at Thanksgiving and that unusual extra day at Christmas break this year. The staff, when we asked them to show their priorities, the number one priority for staff was the day before Thanksgiving being off. And I think that has to do with travel, as well as the longer winter break. But getting out early in June was the third priority for staff. So I've mentioned this because when it came time to create our calendars, we wanted to honor the feedback that we were given. And so the first two calendars we created both had schools starting after Labor Day because the data shared that with us. But in order to start after Labor Day, the end day of school got pushed back to June 20th. And so the contract says that we're supposed to offer 3 calendars for voting. So the committee worked together and came up with a third calendar. And that third calendar did start on September 1st, which is a Thursday before Labor Day. With that calendar, we are able to get out on Friday, June 16th. So, and still keep the day before Thanksgiving off and still have the long winter break. So when the voting went out to staff, the calendar option C, which had the early start, easily had the highest number of votes. If you refer to slide 7, you can see that 89 people selected it as their top choice. And it had the least number of votes as the third choice. So because of that, even though we know there's some, I'm trying to think the right way to say this, we know there is a lot of support to start after Labor Day. When an actual calendar got put in front of people to vote, suddenly getting out in June, that second week, became a bigger deal than starting those couple of days before Labor Day. The good news is, even if we start before Labor Day, our 4-day counts would still fall after Labor Day. The start of kindergarten would start in that week after Labor Day. So there are some benefits to that earlier start. So those are some good positives to go with it. So basically, based off of the input of community and staff, we are asking the school board to consider the recommendation of calendar option C, which has school starting on September 1st. Spring break would fall the week of April 3rd through 7th, which is that first week of April is when Orting has almost always had spring break. And the last day of school would fall on June 16th. All holidays would be observed, and every calendar option had most of those same days in the middle of the year. So I would like to take your questions because I know you can read the data for yourself. So I want to keep it nice and short and sweet and just be able to answer the questions that you have.
I appreciate that you shared when the count would be, because in my experience, starting before Labor Day, it was always an issue that new kids would always show up afterwards because some parents that's when they finally thought school was starting, and you would always have primary kids showing up the second week. So thank you for sharing when when the count is, because that's real important for us.
Very much so. Yeah, the 4th day would then fall on the Wednesday after Labor Day. So they would have even 2 days to get registered there after Labor Day.
Good, good.
So I have no questions for you, but I do want to say it's an excellent job as always. And I know that you always put the survey out there, but I really appreciated how you called out the fact that you really took the community's responses into consideration and how you prepared the calendars. And I think that this communication that we have going on with our community more and more as everybody's doing this, the community is going to become a part of our school community even more. So even though that one particular issue might not be in their calendar, just the fact that that has weighted heavily in your decisions as you create them, I'm glad that you are doing that and calling that out. So great work as always. Calendar looks fantastic.
And I love that we're we're sharing it openly, how this decision is made and what the data was. And if anybody has questions, thanks to Bonnie's recording, they can always just watch the recording.
I also want to say a big thank you. It was not just myself that made this happen. I want to say thank you to Lynn and Debbie and Holly. The four of us met multiple times, lots of email, electronic communication, lots of helping each other out, as some of us may or may not have remembered to change a few dates and some surveys, you know. So thank you to everybody for their help. I appreciate it.
And Karn, you did the lion's share of the work, and thank you. You deserve the credit. So well done. Thanks.
Thank you.
And as always, Karn, great job.
Thank you.
Job well done. Well, we need a motion to accept C.
I will, I move to accept option C of the 2022-23 calendar presentation.
I'll second it.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, you up.
Thank you so much. Tonight, I'm asking the board to approve the Student Wellbeing Recovery Plan application. This application requires board approval and submission to OSPI by June 1st in order for us to access ESSER 3 funds. The plan is designed to help address learning loss suffered by our students during COVID. This plan had a very short turnaround time. We had been promised by OSPI that this application would come to us, and it didn't come. As a matter of fact, I had to snoop around on the OSPI website just to find it. And in order to get it done, I want to thank folks, because it really took a lot of us to have input and get this done. So I'd like to thank the principals and our union partners who gave input, and in particular, Chris Willis, Jody Leonard, Tina Storia, and Holly Mortensen, who helped us finalize the plan and gather input for it. This plan, as you looked for it, you'll note that we had to identify specific groups that we will address, strategies, and assessments. I believe that given the nature of the application, and as the district works hard to enhance student achievement, the plan will probably be revised periodically throughout the year as we have better data to look at student achievement, as we have better assessment tools to gauge student progress monitoring, and as we look to see if our strategies are working to help students regain the learning that they lost this year. So are there any questions before there is action by the board?
So does OSPI expect or allow or whatever changes to be made as reality is there?
Yes, and part of it is that this is our best thinking at the time. And again, it does require progress monitoring. So as we look to see whether or not students are making the growth, that if they're not, then we are expected to change our strategies and respond to students' progress.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I was afraid that it was like, if you make the statement and then you must commit to that and only that. So thank you.
You bet.
Any question? Can we get a motion?
I'll move to approve the Ording School District Student Recovery Plan.
Okay, second.
Second it.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's the Citizen Committee. Dr. Tony.
Yes, the board is well aware of our pre-planning for the initiation of a Citizens Facility Advisory Committee that will be convened to study and assess the options available for the Ording School District in terms of addressing future student enrollment growth and the modernization of deteriorating facilities that currently exist. This committee will consist of community members, staff, business leaders, students, and other interested parties that have been either nominated by the board or have self-selected to participate on such a committee of about 40 to possibly even 60 individuals. Not all the individuals will attend the meetings that are planned to begin in June with a single meeting on Tuesday, June 22nd. There'll be a pause in July, but it is expected that the committee will meet 2 times in August, 2 times in September, 2 times in October, and possibly even in November on an as-needed basis. The committee will study the district's boundaries, where the new housing developments are being constructed, the generation rate that will be coming out of those households in terms of the number of students, where they will be attending, either in the Puyallup School District or in the Ording School District, or in the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District or the Ording School District. So there's some discussions that will be taking place with our school neighbors that will be taking place over the next several months. Those discussions have already started, and we look forward to having mutually beneficial conversations and outcomes in those discussions. Tonight, I'm asking the board to approve the Citizens Facility Advisory Committee membership, knowing that the membership will be in flux. More people will come in and out over the next several weeks, but we have forwarded to the board a draft copy of the letter of invitation that will go out, and we are very pleased to stress in the letter, we hope the tone is appropriate, that your voice matters. And that's a message to our community that the board expects the community to be actively engaged in discussing the options available in terms of the future housing for students in the future, and the discussion about the kind of support facilities the district will need. For instance, the transportation building to house the buses and so forth. There's a great deal of conversation that will be taking place over the next several months. We have a team of individuals that will serve as consultants to the district, and we're very pleased with their work to date. And we anticipate that they will be the kinds of facilitators that will solicit the necessary information and input and cause people to feel very comfortable to let their voices be heard in a safe setting, and to encourage people to participate directly in those meetings. But we also will have surveys that will go out into the community, asking people who didn't participate in those CFAC committee meetings, but will have an opinion about what the future direction is of the district. So I ask that the board approve the initial CFAC plan and the meeting schedule that has been proposed, so that we can begin our work with our facilitators to be engaged with our key members of our community and staff.
Thank you, Dr. Tony. Any questions for Dr. Tony?
Great
Nice.
job.
Yes, good job.
Yeah, let's
Can we-
get to work.
Can we get a motion to,
I will motion to approve and move forward with the Citizens Facilities Advisory Committee as explained by Dr. Tony Apostle, and to send the invitations to those on the CFAC list.
I second it.
okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dr. Tony.
All right, thank you, members of the board.
Capital Facility Plan, Marcy.
Good evening. So it's really fitting that this follows the last item on the, I'm just saying, whoever set this agenda was really smart. This, as you may or may not be aware, every year we have to update and request the board to approve a resolution for our 6-year capital facility plan. Within the plan, it encompasses the cohort survival rate as put out by OSPI, the known buildings that are going in the district are known to Holly, Tarragon, all the information that you guys have been hearing in former board meetings come into this with the projected enrollment growth from that. Impact fees are collected by Pierce County or the school district, depending in which part of the county, our district, the housing is going into. The amount of impact fees is determined by actually an ordinance with Pierce County. However, we are required to produce this document each year saying what we believe our impact fees actually are. And our impact fees are significantly larger per kid than we're allowed to collect in Pierce County, which is unfortunate, but it is the way it is, and it's the way it's been. Once we collect the impact fees, which can only be used in the school district to support growth, building growth, we can't use it for other purposes. We have 6 years to spend it. There is a special consideration. You can ask for 10 years, but that's something you go through with OSPI if we want to wait 10 years. So the document before you is very similar to the one you saw probably late last summer, updated with this year's information, updated with information regarding the CFAC work and how it will impact this document in the future. And I'm asking for your approval of the resolution so we can continue to collect impact fees for any new houses built in our community. Do you have any questions?
I was wondering, so the impact fees, can that be used for any of the studies we need to do for developing the new?
Not currently, no. It really has to be directly related to the building of it. So a study, no, but once we get into the building, if a bond is passed and it's directly related, then that changes it a little bit. But the studies in preparation of, no, it's not currently allowed to pay impact fees on that.
Okay.
So I have a question, and please forgive me, because you just said something in your explanation that triggered this waterfall of question. So there's so much that as I look at these documents, okay, it's there, it's all very good, but you say one word and I'm like, aha, okay. So if you don't know, that's fine. I can have an answer later, but you said that we have 6 years, we can ask for 10 years. So I'm assuming, I'm hoping that there is a current bucket of impact fees that has been collected and not yet spent. Are we at risk at this point of hitting? Okay, so we're not.
We are not, because our significant amount of impact fees we spent when we built the portable, the 8 classroom portable. We spent every penny we had received in the previous 6 years, and so we really reset at that point. So we started collecting impact fees again, I would say probably about April or May of last year, when Tahali really started building. I think was about the first place that we started receiving impact fees again. But there was a time, we went through a period where there was no building going on in our district. So we were not collecting impact fees. So our current chunk of our period time starts, it looks like somewhere around December of 20 was when we started collecting impact fees again. So our 6-year clock starts at that point for the impact fees collected then, and it keeps going. So the 15,000 that were collected in December have a 6-year. The money that was collected in January of 21 has a different 6-year. So that it resets, and it doesn't mean all of it has to be spent. Well, all of it does have to be spent, but different parts of it have different deadlines.
Right. Okay. So thank you for that. And then follow up on that. Where is the dollar amount that we currently have? Is that singled out anywhere in the budget or anywhere visible for us to see and be aware of anywhere, or in this document?
So the current amount we get per home, or the current amount in our balance?
In the balance.
So every month in my financial report, there is data about the current amount of impact fees that the district has. It's on the capital project page. And if we received impact fees, it's on that page along with the current balance of the account. So yes, every month when I'm giving you guys the financial report, it does include impact fees in there as well.
See, there's one more line crossed between my dots. Thank you, Marcy.
No problem. Anytime.
Great questions, Melissa.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say the current amount that we're allowed to collect in this year is $38.90. And if you happen to look on page, I think it's 27, our amount that we should be collecting is more like 17,000. So it's a little bit cattywampus, but that's Pierce County, and that is what we get to do.
Always trying to do the job with your hands tied behind your back and one eye blindfolded and no hearing.
Yes.
County as they say so. We're looking for a motion to approve the capital facility plan.
Did Carrie want to say something?
Oh, Carrie. Sorry.
No, I was just groaning at the gap between what we get and what we need, and just flinching and groaning, and just it's infuriating.
Call your county.
That's good.
County councilman and give them a call.
Yeah, I heard Carbonado got theirs adjusted.
So you can get adjusted. Give them a call.
Yeah, right now.
To call them.
Right now, Pierce County, the maximum we can get in Pierce County is consistent for all the districts in Pierce County. So no matter how much all of us need, we're all limited by the Pierce County Ordinance 4A, which is currently set at $38.90.
You know, the Citizens Facility Advisory Committee is going to have a series of presenters and people who are invited to inform and educate the community. And I think it'd be well worth our time to bring a county council person and to come and speak in terms of the impact fees. And then we can also have a developer speak to it as well.
Love the idea. Love it.
Your developers are there at the county council. Trust me, they are there. Mm-hmm. They're being heard big time, especially big developers.
I'd like to introduce them to the Citizens Facility Advisory Committee. Good,
and the executive. Can we get a motion to approve?
I will move to approve resolution number 7.2020-21 capital facilities plan.
Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
The ayes have it. All right. We got a student rep on. The board comments.
Yes.
Student rep. We do. All righty. Hello,
Hi,
young lady.
Can you guys see me?
Yes,
Hi,
we do.
Amber.
Amber.
Welcome.
Hi, Amber.
So I have a few things to talk about.
All righty.
Starting with, this is going to be actually really cool because junior board representatives are, I think they applied maybe last week, but we're going to have some new juniors coming in, which is pretty exciting. Also had 8 elections. So we actually picked people to the on the boards yet, so that's really cool. I'm personally doing executive board. We also had I didn't put the date for this, so it might have already happened. I feel like it did. But we had or are having a STEM con from Ignite, I'm pretty sure, for girls, which is really cool. We also have our new rotation, I would say. That's a good word, yeah. So for girls basketball.
Hey, Amber.
Hey, Amber. Okay.
Yeah, Amber, we got a bad connection. Can you I'm going to turn off your camera. Sometimes that helps. We can't.
Okay.
Voice is cutting in and out.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Way better.
Should I start over? Would it?
Yes, go ahead and start over, please.
Okay. Hey, guys. Okay, so junior board representatives for the school district, which is what I am currently. So we're getting a new rotation of them. Super excited for that. We also have ASB elections going on. We have not actually picked anybody yet, but the applications, I think it's this Sunday. We also had a STEM conference for girls from Ignite, which was really awesome, super cool to have. We just started a new sports rotation for boys and girls lacrosse, boys and girls wrestling, and then boys and girls basketball. Super exciting. I know they were really happy to be able to do that. We are having a National Honor Society end of the year celebration and the induction of new members and the installment of new officers, which is happening June 2nd. Luckily this year, we were able to host 8 exchange students from 7 different countries. Very excited about that. On June 4th, we have a Youth Ocean Conservation Summit, which is really exciting. We're also working really hard to fill in our yearbook, having a lot of yearbook staff at different events going on and asking a lot of students to contribute, like send in photos and events that they're doing. And then lastly, we're all really excited to be heading back full time next year. Me personally, at least. That's all I have. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. All righty. Board comments? Any comments from the board? No? Okay.
I don't know. I just a couple of quick things. So
Sure.
I had the privilege of sitting in with one of the scholarship committees, something that Carrie did last year, and that was quite the honor and quite the process. It was really fun to do that, and I know that a lot of the things that we do as a board are all the heavy kind of, whipping around and getting the backhanded compliments from some people. but it was a real pleasure to be able to do that. And so I know that specific scholarship required a board participant, but I felt very welcomed by the group of people that were on that committee. And so I just wanted to thank them for that. And then I also participated with the interviewing of the junior board reps, currently sophomores that will be coming in. So I don't know if they have been notified of the results, but I think any single one of them would have been fantastic. But I see Bonnie nodding her head over there, but
They have been notified, yes.
they have been notified.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything. I didn't think to ask Bonnie ahead of time. But we had 3 great candidates that came in to interview. They were all very professional. It's just so strange to me to see these sophomores, almost juniors, treat this as seriously as they did. They all came in prepared for interviews, and we selected a young lady by the name of Grace, I believe. And I cannot remember her last name, but she'll be fun to have. She's very forward thinking, very giving, very involved, and I think she'll fit in great with us.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Melissa.
Peter.
Any other comments from the board? Well, hearing none, we're going to adjourn the meeting at 7:14 p.m. You guys have a good night. God bless.
All right.
Have a good
Have a great night,
night,
everyone.
guys.
Great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Too bad you didn't teach that sooner.
I know. Well, we weren't wearing ties.
I know, but next week will be good for the
Yeah.
future.
That
Okay.
for the future. Well,
Thank
have a
you.
good night tonight,
All right,
Lynn.
you too.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.